G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's content. Now sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Fearless Opening 5181, titled, Am I the asshole for taking my daughter to Disneyland? I kind of already think I'm not, but my family is convincing me that I am. I, 28 female, went on a vacation with my daughter, 5 female, and my husband, 29 male, as a last vacation before we're a family of 4. I'm 7 months pregnant, and we wanted to spend time with our daughter before her brother was born. When I was around 13, me, my mum, my dad, and my little brother went on a Disneyland vacation. It was fun and all until my dad left his phone in the hotel, and they wouldn't give it back to us. He had to get a new one, and my mum and dad were so upset that we never went back. I thought that this was irrational since it was my mum's favorite place. We went at least once a year growing up. After that whole ordeal, my mum hated it. So when my husband and I wanted to go on a before baby arrives vacation, we decided to go to Disneyland for around 3 days. My daughter loves the princesses and the idea of magic, so when we told her, she was overjoyed. I told my mum when we were at lunch together that we were going on a trip. When I told her that it was Disneyland, she was enraged. I was extremely confused because I thought she forgot about it, honestly. She called me a backstabber and just really rude words. She stormed out of the restaurant, and I paid and left a few minutes later. A few hours later, my dad called me and screamed at me that this family doesn't go to Disney. If you weren't such a spoiled little B-word, you would understand that. I was shocked. It was my money I was spending, and I thought everyone was over it. My mum texted me a long paragraph about how she would go no contact and wouldn't be my mother anymore if I still went. The trip was fully paid for, so I responded, okay, I guess you only have a son now, and blocked her. I've gotten at least 60 calls from family and a few texts telling me I'm wrong. We still went and got back yesterday. We all had a blast, and my daughter rode her first big girl coaster. She loved every minute of it, so in my opinion, it was all worth it. So am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I feel like "you only have a son now" comment was rude, but I'm definitely a petty person, so I don't really feel bad. I can see where your mother is coming from here, OP, absolutely, but in this specific, rendition of, I guess, PTSD or just hatred, I don't agree with her gatekeeping you. If it was something like, oh, my brother was murdered at Disneyland, Walt Disney himself left his cryo chamber and stabbed me with an ice pick, I can see why you might make arguments for not going to Disneyland, but this is insane to me. Yes, it's absolutely understandable. Your mum and dad had their phones stolen from them by Disney staff, but essentially that's what happened in my opinion. And they've held this long-standing vendetta since then and expect you to follow suit. But unfortunately, we live in the real world, and that's a them problem, not a you problem. The "you only have a son now" comment was petty, but I think it's understandable. I don't really think it's too rude. I feel it's real. You're kind of real for saying that. What does she want you to grovel and be like, no, please, Mom, I won't go to Disney World. I'm gonna refund the money. Come on, you have a whole family now that's more important to you than your parents. Their requests are stupid. They're stupid, not the asshole OP. In the comments, Away Beyond 2181 says, not the asshole at all. The fact that your parents are really upset about a phone is crazy. Yes, they wouldn't give the phone back. It's unfortunate, but that shouldn't be a reason to hate Disneyland with a passion. This happened, almost 20 years ago? The OP's parents shouldn't be punishing their granddaughter. There is definitely different employees there, and the trip is already paid for, and I'm sure the OP and the husband already took time off work. And then calling you names and saying they'll disown you is not okay. What would you have to tell the child about why y'all wouldn't be going to Disney? Years ago, Grandpa forgot his phone, and they wouldn't give it back, but he's got a new phone, but they still got beef, so now you can't go? That's crazy. OP replies, this is why I was so shocked. My mum even said in her long-ass text that we should cancel the trip and forgive and forget for the family. when me and my husband had taken time off work and we had cancelled her preschool days for the trip. We spent like a good 2 to 3 months planning this, and I still wasn't going to disappoint my daughter because Grandma and Grandpa didn't check the room before they left. This is insane. Are they, anti-woke people who think Disney is too liberal and tolerant? That's the only explanation I can think of. Can't be the phone. Sorry they're like this, and I'm glad you had a great time with your daughter. OP replies, "Oh my god, I never thought about this. We don't talk about politics often, and I never really knew what side they're on. They definitely seem like they could be mad over how Disney is very liberal though. I feel like if that were the reason, they'd be happy to rant in your ear about it though. They seem to think you should already know what they're pissed about." Hannah Han says, "Not the asshole. The only thing I can think of is this. 15 years ago, your parents committed a murder at Disneyland." Oh my god, Marky called it, guys. Except this is the reverse. It was the perfect crime until a piece of crucial evidence was left behind, the cell phone. There was nothing your parents could do. They had to flee the scene. All they can do now is hope by never going back, no one will put the pieces of the puzzle together. Now though, there's you, the spitting image of your mother, a ghost. No one who saw you would remember your mother. After all these years, after the cell phone, it turned out there was one more loose end. You. You know what? I'll buy it over the Walt Disney story, that's for sure. OP replies, "I did think about this. I was scared my dad killed somebody for a minute when going through all the reasons they would have blown up like this. Maybe your dad gave his phone number to Minnie Mouse and got some scandalous texts later that night, and your mum stomped the phone to oblivion." Back up to the post, we have an edit. Whoa! Posted this around 2 hours ago and have gotten a lot of comments. First off, thank you for all the not the assholes. I was kinda scared that I was gonna get attacked. I think once I get home, I'm gonna unblock my mum and ask if we can meet up. We haven't spoken since all this happened. Hoping we can meet up for lunch and we can talk. Also, I've been seeing a lot of comments where people think something way bigger happened. I can't remember anything else happening though. I'm gonna ask if and when we talk though. I'll keep you all posted. By the way, I'm in Cali and I don't get off work until 5 PM to 5:30ish, so once I get off and home, I will talk to my mum. I've seen a lot of people wanting an update, so I'll try and get one to you all soon. Edit 2, holy shit, lol, I truly didn't expect this to go viral. I'm getting ready for work, and just wow. So last night I unblocked my mum, messaged her, and basically said, I want to talk. I know that our last fight was really messy, but I want to meet up for lunch and talk. And she responded. She said yes, and we're meeting up today. My dad is also coming because I want an apology from him for what he called me. I truly can't even process the phone call that happened. I want to get answers as fast as possible because I've seen so many comments saying that this wasn't over a phone. I have really bad memory, and this was 15 years ago, but I remember most of it because that whole situation was very messy. I will definitely be updating you guys after the lunch. I've also seen people saying my parents might not like Disney because they're more liberal. I don't think that's the reason though. 15 years ago though was very different as well. I'll ask that when we meet up, but I don't see it as a real reason. I've also seen people saying it's very unreasonable to go no contact / very limited contact because of this, which I agree with. I think she was just saying that to scare me, which is still very gross. But we still went and she messaged me back, so I guess we'll just see. My husband also might come with me because I don't know how my parents will react when I ask them my questions. They know we still went, so I'm not scared, but I can't be sure. I'll update with how the lunch goes soon. Update. Well, here it is, fellas. Your final update. Around 1 PM yesterday, we went to lunch. My husband didn't come because he had an important meeting at his work. I wasn't that scared anyway because we were going to a pretty popular restaurant. It wasn't like I would be alone with them. So we got there and sat down, and I started talking to my mum and dad and started asking my questions. It was mostly just, why would you get so mad? And it's my money, and I wanted to make my daughter have a fun vacation with her parents before she has a brother. And I was met with them gaslighting me and thinking because they don't love Disney, I can't go. I was on the verge of tears and leaving, so I asked my final question that I really wanted an answer on. This can't be over an effing phone. There has to be something going on to make you blow up like this. Then they told me what really happened. So my dad did actually leave his phone. When housekeeping went to clean the room up for the next family to arrive, the woman who was cleaning took the phone and took it to Lost and Found. She saw my mum's contact on my dad's little smartphone and called her, and we went to pick it back up, but the woman also saw another contact that said baby. My dad was cheating for a good year to a year and a half. She told my mum, and my mum blamed that woman for ruining her marriage by telling her. That's why they hated Disney, 'cause it ruined their marriage. I'm screaming, what? What a twist. I walked out after that. I didn't pay either. I don't think I'm gonna talk to them after this, only if my daughter and son want to. They betrayed my trust and never apologized either for what they called me a few days ago. I don't know why we never got the phone back. Probably will never know. But there is the official ending of this crazy-ass story. In the comments, Weasel Panties says, quote, "She called me a backstabber and just really rude words. This family doesn't go to Disney. If you weren't such a spoiled little B-word, you would understand that." You know, it's funny, but as I was reading that, I was thinking it kinda doesn't matter what the real reason is, because the real reason is that these people are effing crazy, and OP is probably better off without them in her and her children's lives, because they will generate non-stop arbitrary drama for stupid reasons. Her parents calling her all these awful names and treating her like a criminal over something she didn't even know about only goes to show you that none of them are in their right minds. Also, imagine blaming a company for you getting caught cheating. It's not Disney's fault you're an effing scumbag, Dad, and you're an effing pushover, Mum. It's even worse. The mother is blaming the company for getting her husband caught cheating. She's more mad about being informed about the cheating than the cheating itself. Your mother was in denial about your father's affair, so she just decided to hate an entire company? That's hardcore delusion. And that she's still with your father after all that? I don't blame you for wanting no contact after that. My theory is, if they got the phone back, they'd have to face the fact that your dad was having an affair. By leaving the phone behind, they could pretend the contact baby and the affair didn't exist. Just when I think people can't get any more unreasonable, something like this comes along. OP's mum is so desperate to blame anyone and anything but her husband for cheating that she's willing to lose her daughter and grandchildren over it. Delusional. It's not even Disney's fault that the truth came out about the affair, just the actions of one cleaner, and the dad's no better, blaming Disney for his roaming dick. It's so jarring when someone has such an outsized reaction to such a small thing. Talk about misdirected anger though. The mother was one word short of blaming OP for her husband's affair. The freak-out reaction suggests that she's still pretending like her husband isn't effing around, which you know he still is. Oof, harsh reality with that one, but yeah, she is delusional, blaming OP for this. What is going on? And yeah, absolutely he's out there still screwing around. Just because he got caught, there obviously wasn't any repercussions. His wife is still gonna stay with him. He's gonna do it again. That's just kinda how people think, I guess. But hey, I'm very much happy that OP has cut those people off. She refuses to deal with their rubbish. That is the healthy and expected way that you have to treat people like this, because they will not see logic. All they will see is nails in a world where they are hammers. And that goddamn phone back at Disney World 15 years ago is one big nail that I'm just ready to smash into some wood. Let's just bury this problem, because the more I deny and the more I say it didn't happen, the more I'll believe it. Our next post is by user EvenString, titled, "Am I the asshole for calling my mum when my husband refused to listen to me? I, 26 female, recently moved into my first home. I am also 4 months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been very hard. I have horrible morning sickness. It reached a really bad point where I passed out and hit my head, and my doctor admitted me to the hospital for a week. When I got home, my husband allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. They were evicted, I don't know why. One of those rooms was my office, and they just tossed my papers everywhere. The house was a complete wreck. trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. I started to cry. It was like a light flipped, and my husband was no longer the same. My husband told me that it wasn't that bad. My reply was, "Fine then, you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up." Completely exhausted, I fell asleep for 4 hours. I woke up and went to get a drink of water. I couldn't though, as every glass we own is scattered around the house. They didn't clean a single thing. I passive-aggressively started to pick up the dirty dishes, and I washed them. The following morning, I was trying my best to work when their kids were crying non-stop, banging on the walls and so on. Their mum was in her room for hours, ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me over how I didn't make his brother's wife feel welcome in our home by helping with their kids when she was tired, then continued to complain about how nothing was done while he was at work all day in the house. Yep, the same one that he didn't clean. That led to a fight where I told him I am too sick to have company and they need to leave. To which he replied they are his family and he won't kick them out. I started to cry again. I was beyond frustrated and exhausted, and I physically couldn't do it anymore. I called my mum asking if I could come stay with her, telling her the whole story in front of my husband, who at this point was completely shocked, angry. Also, I could tell that he wasn't sure what to do. My mum came with my brothers. I have 3 older brothers. My mum was super angry and told my husband, "Since your family can stay, then so can we." My mum then quickly took charge. I was sent to bed. My brothers started cleaning and complaining loudly at how disgusting my brother-in-law's family is, along with what a horrible husband my husband is for putting me through this while I'm sick. I got a text from my mother-in-law calling me an asshole for not helping my husband clean up the house and putting my brother-in-law in an uncomfortable position by having my mum boss him around. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might be the asshole for calling my mum when I was sick and too tired to deal with my husband and in-laws, versus cleaning up their mess myself. Interesting how when he does it, it's not a problem, but when you fire back with the same ammunition, all of a sudden you're the devil. Weird about that double standard at all, isn't it, OP? It's just a bit confusing. I do wonder if their delusion comes from your husband is holier than thou, can do no wrong, his shit smell like daisies kind of approach? Or maybe these people just suck and your husband is a doormat and he'd rather side with them so as to not rock the boat so that all the responsibility is put on you, but they will continue to trash the place. I don't know. I'm trying to logic this one and it ain't logicking, that's for sure. Either way, I'm on your side with this one. I think you're not the asshole. These people just suck ass. What can I say? In the comments, Terrified Squid says, "Wait, your mother-in-law called to fuss at you for involving your mother. There's this pot kettle thing." Not the asshole 1000%, but house guests in a shared home require 2 yeses and only 1 no. Both of you agree or it shouldn't happen. Your husband has treated you abominably. I'm not sure I could deal with that, honestly. Can you go stay with your mum? OP replies, "I agree with the 2 yeses. I wasn't even asked to say no." Which is a huge sign of disrespect and a major red flag. Does he do this a lot? Does he actively treat you like a partner? Or does he just decide things and you go along to keep the peace? This will not get better, OP, if you don't set some major boundaries. Again, that he did this while you were in hospital suggests he knew you didn't agree and wanted to present it as a done deed that you couldn't or wouldn't argue with. Go stay with mum and let him enjoy living in the filthy bed that he has made. I'd honestly tell him that you're not coming back until they're gone and your house is as clean as when you left it. If he won't or can't, then you know where his priorities are. You're pregnant. The house you describe is unfit to bring a newborn into. Depending on how bad and what country you live in, Child Protective Services could step in. Is your marriage worth potentially losing custody over your baby? Because I can tell you right now that it shouldn't be. That baby has to be your number 1 priority, and living in a house full of dirty dishes and moldy food ain't it, sis. My heart hurts for you, but you deserve so much better. And OP replies, "He's always been very respectful. It was like a switch went off and he's no longer acting like the loving person I know he is around his brother. I know this may be hard to hear, but I don't think this is about his brother. You are now pregnant with his child and tied to him forever. This is when a lot of abusers show their true colors. It's time for you to start thinking about exit strategies. Not the asshole. In fact, I think you are underreacting, which is understandable considering your current health. Edit, I want to thank everyone for their awards and for sharing their stories. I know there can be bad feelings attached to some of these memories, and I hope OP reads all of them and understands this is unfortunately not a unique situation. For the record, OP, I do hope that things aren't as bad as they seem to us outsiders based on this one story, but for your sake and that of your child, please at least get a plan in place in case we are correct. This happened to me. Please listen, OP. Me too. The mask comes off when they think they have you forever. Thank you for the upvotes. I separated from my abuser 3 years ago, and it's been the best time. It took about a year to leave him fully as I kept going back to him. When you see red flags, if you can't safely communicate with your partner, step away. My current partner displays accountability when confronted with a problem behavior. He looks into himself, thinks about the impact of his actions, apologizes, and changes his behavior. If they kick off at you and don't show remorse or changed behavior, just leave. You are not a rehabilitation center for abusive people. Let them fix their own problems while you are safely not involved. I mean this in the nicest way possible. Please start prepping for divorce. Your husband moved in people to the home without consulting you first. He is prioritizing their needs over the needs of his wife and unborn child, not the asshole. Even worse, he's prioritizing his family, which apparently doesn't include OP or the baby. Update. When my mother-in-law showed up, she was super angry outside. I could hear her shouting, but couldn't understand what was said. Once inside, she was shocked. My house looked really bad. My brother-in-law lied to her about what happened. My mother-in-law quickly started to help my mum in the bossing mode. My house is just not cleaned, but deep cleaned. My brother-in-law and his kids are now staying with my mother-in-law. She didn't know about the eviction. My in-laws helped them financially a couple of months ago. My mother-in-law was not happy about it. Sister-in-law refused to come out of the bedroom. She would scream through the door, but that was about it until her family came to pick her up. Last little bit, I did talk to my husband. He seemed very remorseful. I asked for some space, and he is staying at a hotel. He asked to come by and talk to me tonight. My mum and dad are here. Both mums felt like I should have someone here since I am sick. Both mums have set up a meal plan, where they trade off who will bring in dinner. It was my mother-in-law's idea. Thank you all for your advice. I truly appreciate it. I talked with my husband, and summed up since it lasted 4 hours. It was a hard talk. He is remorseful. Brother-in-law was only supposed to stay for a couple of nights, and then leave. Originally, he thought that they would be gone before I got home. He said he is tired and emotionally upset himself. When I originally passed out, my husband left to help a friend move. He came home and found me. He said he has no idea how long I was on the floor, hurt. He was originally scared that I had died. Since then, he has had nightmares. On top of dealing with his family drama, he admitted to dumping his frustration onto me, when it's not my fault. He begged me for another chance. The next steps are, we are still separated. He plans on staying at my brother's house in his casita. We are going to go to marriage counseling and individual counseling. He asked if he could come when the home health nurse comes each night and to my doctor's appointments, and I agreed to that. And final update on brother-in-law. His wife admitted to having an affair. She told him that she got married too soon and doesn't want the responsibilities of being a mum anymore. I'm not sure what will happen with him and his kids, but I'm shocked that she feels this way, especially with her kids. What a mess. Anyway, that's enough of that dumpster fire for me, guys. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, can you go check out my community posts and let me know what you think about potentially me doing Reacts content. I know I've mentioned it in the past before with a poll, and I was going to launch a channel 2 years ago where I react on camera. But anxiety, and I feel like I suck at that stuff, but I would love some encouragement because I do have a video from that time ready to go, and just checking if you guys would like content like that in the future. So let me know, have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.